You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
Black and white sports fans, let's talk about the NFL. The NFL and the Rooney Rule. Now, the Rooney Rule requires that NFL teams, when they have a coaching opening, they must interview at least one minority to fulfill a quota. And it's been like this, I believe, for the better part of 20 years. And the Rooney Rule has been an absolute disaster. It has been a complete failure. I'm not in favor of the Rooney Rule. I'm not in favor of any type of rule that is racially based, because in the end, it is doomed to fail. And the Rooney Rule, it's been a clear picture. This thing is a disaster. Now, the NFL put this in place because they apparently wanted more black head coaches, but yet they aren't getting the numbers that they wanted. You want to know why? Because anything that is racially based when it comes to hiring is going to fail, because I believe that race should not even come into play. I don't believe you should be interviewing people based off race. I just don't believe that. Interview people based off their qualifications. Hire people based off their qualifications. The NFL has not learned that. They haven't learned that, and apparently now they are now going to double down and expand the Rooney Rule, and I still don't believe it's going to work, guys. Let's jump into this. On ESPN, NFL's Rooney Rule increases minority interview requirements to 2. So you had it with 1, it didn't work. Now you want to expand it to 2, and now you think it's going to work. But let's read this. The NFL has instituted some policy changes to the Rooney Rule designed to further enhance diversity, equity, and inclusion in hiring practices. The rule has been expanded to require teams to interview at least 2 external minority candidates for general manager, executive of football operation positions, and all coordinator roles. Beforehand, the requirement was to interview 1 minority candidate from outside a team for openings in those positions. Openings for head coaches already fell under such requirements, so now they have expanded it to other executive positions. And it's not going to work, folks. It's not going to work. Actually, to tell you the truth, guys, I would not actually take an interview for a job if I know that I'm getting that interview strictly to fill a quota. I don't want the job. I don't want a job where I actually know I got the job simply because I'm black. It doesn't work like that for me. I will never buy into that. And I believe this is ultimately going to fail even on the executive levels, folks. NFL clubs must now conduct an in-person interview for at least 1 external minority candidate for any head coach or general manager opening. All coordinator and assistant general manager candidates can be interviewed virtually, but in-person interviews are being encouraged. Quote, "It's about how we can ensure the pipeline is strong for minority coaches and overall ensuring everyone gets an opportunity, a look," says Jonathan Bean, the NFL's Senior Vice President and Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer. When you have a diverse slate and have more than 1 minority or diverse candidate, the chance of the candidate being interviewed who is diverse goes up exponentially. But you're already mandating that every team already interviews them strictly based on skin color. I don't like this. Maximize the opportunities, and we also wanted to make sure there wasn't a case where there was only 1 candidate who is diverse who is being interviewed. Research shows a lot of the times there could be bias in the opportunity for that person to get hired and have a role. Bean emphasized the importance of feedback after such interviews, regardless who the candidate is. Quote, "One of the things the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee recommended and enacted is on the issue of feedback," he explains. "We're not mandating feedback, but strongly encouraging all clubs to do that. Someone who is interviewed for a role but doesn't get it, it is important for them to get that feedback to have the next opportunity they get. The mechanisms for interviewing head coaching candidates also has been changed. Teams will be allowed to interview for such a position during the final 2 weeks of the regular season with the consent of the employer club. As long as the head coaching job is vacant, those interviews can be done virtually. Of course, there's no restrictions for candidates not employed by any NFL teams. The NFL is also creating additional education and training sessions on sexual harassment, discrimination, diversity, equity, and inclusion in wake of the investigation into workplace improprieties with the Washington football team. Release the 650,000 emails, NFL. Release those emails, but you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it, guys. But they go on, and they talk about these other things. But I want to keep the focus on expanding the Rooney Rule. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to work. It hasn't worked at the head coaching level. So what makes you think that this is going to work at the general manager level and executive level? It's not going to work. Stop making everything about race. Give interviews to people that are simply the best candidates, regardless of race. I don't like this, guys. I absolutely do not like this. What do you guys think of this? What do you guys think of the Rooney Rule doubling down in the NFL, doubling down on the wokeness, because they want equity. They just want to give out stuff, simply on skin color. Now, thank God, they haven't mandated that, hey, you know what? We have 32 NFL teams. 16 of the teams must have a minority head coach. You know what? Eventually, it's going to get down that path, folks. It's absolutely going to get down that path one day if the NFL, stops and they don't realize that race-based hiring practices is not going to work. Eventually, they're going to go down the road and mandate that if there's X amount of openings, you better have a minority coach in place. Not going to work, guys. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and white sports fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to Black and White Sports, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.